Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to something really big and awesome. So I was actually down at Guildford for a FIFA 14 sort of reveal event, and what they were doing is they were giving us a whole bunch of new information on FIFA 14, and I was one of the fortunate people who managed to sit there and listen to a couple of the producers from the FIFA 14 team kind of walk me through and talk me through some of the new things they're bringing to FIFA 14. So before I go any further, guys, this is very much about the straight gameplay of the game and very much the fundamentals of the game. Unfortunately, there is no Ultimate Team news. Ultimate Team news tends to come around the August marker, around the time that an event called Gamescom happens. That's when they start to reveal that sort of information. I do have another video about career mode up, so if you guys would like to go and check that, then feel free to do so. I really think it would be worth your time. But today in this video, we're going to cover quite a few things. So we're going to cover a few of the things called real ball physics. We're also going to cover something called pure shot, protect the ball, teammate intelligence, sprint dribble turns, second chance tackles, curling lofted through balls, and some of the new skill games. So that's what we're going to get through in this video. This video might be quite long, guys, so you might want to strap yourself down, grab yourself some popcorn, maybe even a Coke if you're feeling slightly fruity. But besides that, guys, let's get straight into it. So the first thing I actually want to talk about is something called pure shot. It's a new thing in FIFA, and what it is it's the intelligence of the players to adjust their stride and the way they approach to strike a ball. So, you know, in FIFA 13, we're all very used to, you know, players, the ball being around their feet, and then it just looks really weird at how they shoot the ball. Somehow their leg has appeared in the right position and they shoot it. Now with the pure shot, it looks a whole lot different. There's actually, now the player will start to think about, you know, which is the best angle to approach the ball for this shot. So they might, like, if it's more of a curved, you know, finesse sort of shot, then they'll take a little bit of a wider sort of angle to it and they'll approach it that way. Another thing is if the ball is in and around their feet, you know, they'll do their best just to try and get a quick shot off if it's rushed or something along those lines. So it's very much in the sense that any sort of off-balance shots, it looks a whole lot more realistic, and I think it's definitely one of those things that you can't really appreciate until you see it or you do it yourselves. And you know, they showed us a bit of the gameplay, they showed us some of the footage of it all, and it really looked you know, quite a lot different compared to FIFA 13. They showed us the difference, and there was definitely a difference. You could see it's quite hard to explain. A lot of these gameplay things are actually hard to explain without physical examples that I have here to show you. Unfortunately, all I have for you guys is screenshots, but these screenshots were given to me straight from EA, so I know they are real and they're not any sort of, you know, user generated stuff. So yeah, that's pure shot. So it's very much just the sense of making the shots in FIFA look a lot more realistic, and the way they take their shots a lot more realistic. The next part is the new real ball physics. So in FIFA 13, the ball was very linear. Everything seemed very linear. You know, when you shot, it was all very much in a straight line. You know, there were certain trajectories that it would go at, and there just wasn't a lot of variables when you shot the ball. You know, once you'd kicked it, it was very much a direct sort of shot, and there was nothing that could really influence it, nothing that would really happen in the air. Everything would just go straight up and then straight down, that sort of thing. But now they've introduced this real ball physics. So what this is it pretty much allows for more curve. The curve just looks fantastic. They showed us actually a finesse shot in it, and it looked magnificent. Another big thing is the dipping in it. So they actually, one of the guys in the EA offices actually scored a bit of a long shot, I suppose you could call it, with Steven Gerrard, and they showed us it, and the dip on it just looked fantastic. It just looked a lot more realistic. I know a lot of you guys out there, maybe you're Ronaldo fans or you're just big fans of the knuckleball free kick. That is actually in the game now, which looks so cool. So now, you know, it's to anyone who doesn't know what the knuckleball free kick, essentially it's a free kick where once it's in the air, it starts to really swerve and make these sort of really quick movements, and that is actually now in the game, and it looked fantastic. They showed us an example of it, and the way the ball just moves in the air is so much more realistic than what we're used to seeing. So again, with a lot of these things, it is very hard to show you guys or to try to explain to you guys how, you know, how these things are really going to affect your game until you actually play it. You know, screenshots are one thing, but you know, the real thing that you guys will be able to notice the difference is when you actually play the game. So I am doing my best to try and explain to you guys the difference between 13 and 14. So I hope you guys can bear with me. It is quite tough. And next up, we have something called protect the ball. Now, this for me is one of the bigger things in this game. You know, one of the bigger new I suppose you could call it a feature in FIFA 14. So what it is now you will no longer hold left trigger to do skill moves. All skill moves will simply be done by using the right stick, and you don't have to hold down left trigger. Now, to all of you skillers out there on YouTube and things, you know, this might be a plus or a negative or however you'd like to look at it, but it does allow for that left trigger to do something else, and that is to protect the ball. So one of the first things that popped into my mind when I heard protect the ball, I honestly thought, wow, this is going to be used as such cheap tactics when, you know, when it's late into the game, 80th minute or something, they're just going to run to the corner and they're going to hold left trigger just to protect the ball. But that's actually not how it's going to pan out. Protect the ball is more like, so let's say there's a 50-50 opportunity coming up, and you have your Ibra going up against Dani Alves, and if you hold that protect the ball just before he does, he manages to get his leg around him and just to kind of bully the other defender out of the way and really push his way into it. So it's really good for, I want to call it like one-on-ones, I suppose is the best way to put it. For me, that's how I see it. Another fantastic thing is, let's say you're RVP and your back is towards the goal that you want to score in, and let's say someone you know, plays a nice chip ball through to you. Van Persie chests it and he holds it down, and he just needs to kind of back up into the defender. You know, he wants to protect his ball until he finds that right opportune moment to turn and just shoot, and that's exactly what you can do. So he chests it down and you just hold left trigger, and it kind of just protects the ball for you for a quick moment, and next thing you know, you can roll off to one side and just ping it with your foot. And I actually saw a little clip of it and it looked really cool. They showed me some real life clips of it as well, so what they were kind of trying to recreate in FIFA, and I think it will work out really well. A few things that I'm a little bit nervous about it is, you know, will this tactic be used in a cheap way? I'm not entirely sure. I do think that there are definitely ways to get around this protect the ball thing, but I think it's going to make for really interesting sort of combinations with the push and pull thing that we already have in FIFA 13. If you guys don't know what the push and pull thing is, it's simply, you know, just tugging on each other's shoulder, that sort of thing, and it allows just for better dueling, 1v1ing, you know, trying to get to that ball first and make sure you come out with the possession. So that's protect the ball. Next up, we have something that I know you guys are absolutely gonna love. It's something that was complained about so much throughout the majority of FIFA 13, and that was, why don't my teammates have any brain cells? That was pretty much it. So FIFA 14, EA have decided to kind of, you know, improve that side of things. They've done something called teammate intelligence, or they've improved on it, I should say. Now, what it is if you guys remember in FIFA 13, you know, if you ever played high pressure, you know, it would, you know, the one player would maybe run towards the player with the ball, you know, and put them down, but the whole team wouldn't work as a unit. And that's what I really want when I, you know, when I put that high pressure on. I want my whole team to run up and just mark tightly all the players so that he has no option, sort of thing. Now, like I said, in FIFA 13, it was really weak. I didn't feel as though when I had that that sort of option enabled that they were actually doing that, you know. So now in FIFA 14, players are gonna, if I choose high pressure, they're gonna go right up to them, tightly mark them, and just use a kind of be more of a team, if that makes sense. I know that might sound a little weird, but instead of players doing things individually, it's going to be the whole pitch, kind of all the players moving as a team instead of moving individually. Now, another thing is they're going to be a lot more responsive, smarter, and most importantly, they're going to be better at marking. They're going to be much better at tracking runs. So one of the little clips they showed us was what happened in FIFA 13 and the decision making that the players made. So one of them was where a player was making a darting run into the box, and one of the right backs actually made the decision to stop marking him because they thought the center back would pick him up. Unfortunately, that's not what happened, and the amount of times that has happened to me in FIFA 13 is absolutely unreal. So now they are going to be so much better at just marking the runs and just being better at staying with the attacking player. So that kind of balances out a little something that was brought in during FIFA 13, and that was the attacking intelligence. If we all remember correctly, in FIFA 13, one of the big things they did was buff the attacking intelligence of the players. You know, they were making these darting runs, but then it also asked the question, you know, the attacking intelligence was improved, but how come the defensive wasn't? Why weren't they tracking these new runs that were being made? But now they've sorted that out, and finally, by the looks of it, from the examples that I was shown, they are actually going to be able to track these runs, and it just looks so much better. Because I don't know about you guys, but the amount of frustrating issues I had in FIFA 13 where a player would just have this free run to do and my right back is sitting there with a cup of tea watching him do it just drove me up the bend. But now I've seen they've worked on that, and it does look so much better. So Next up, we have something called sprint dribble turns, and this is something that's kind of interesting to me, and I can't decide whether it's going to be extremely overpowered, this particular, gameplay feature, or it's just going to be straight up awesome. I'm hoping it's going to be awesome, but what it is it's quick, explosive, sort of cuts and things that you can beat a defender 1v1 while you're sprinting. So one of the things in FIFA 13, and I believe all previous, well, not all previous FIFAs, but recent FIFAs, is that when you're sprinting, you can actually only turn at a certain angle. Now, I forget the angle. It was told to me in the presentation. I apologize, guys, I haven't memorized that particular angle, but it was actually, there was a certain set angle that could be the maximum at which you could turn while you're sprinting. Now that's completely gone. You can literally cut back instantly once you've stopped sprinting, and the whole momentum side of things really does make a difference. You can have, if your player is bombing down the wing and then he decides to instantly cut it back, you will actually see the momentum shift of the player. He'll take a little, I don't want to say stumble, but he'll kind of, his whole weight will shift that way, and he'll have to push off his back foot and chase after the ball that he's just knocked the other way. So, from that side of things, it's going to be really interesting. You can actually cut and turn just much, much more precisely. One of the things that I think is going to be magnificent about this is the fact that with players like Ronaldo and Messi, it is just going to be amazing. Literally running rings around players with the, those type of players. Also, I'm sure with players like Ronaldinho with their great dribbling abilities and things, you're going to be able to do similar sort of things. So I'm excited to see how that turns. Like I said, who knows, it could make defending really hard, so that's what I'm a little bit nervous about. If I'm bombing it down the wing and I can make these really quick, agile cuts, then I feel as though there is room for possible exploitation, but I really hope that they balance it well, and I kind of have faith in them to balance it well to the point that, you're not able to, have incredible dribbling ability when you're at full speed. So, with that being said, we have the next thing, which is called second chance tackles. Now, what this is if you don't get it right the first time, a player can recover and make another tackle. So what I was actually worried about with this was the fact that if players, dive in with a side tackle, they can quickly recover and do it again. But that's not the case. They've actually balanced it out pretty well. What you can do is, so if you guys remember, I don't know, I believe it was the B button. Sorry, I have different controller configurations, so I have to kind of think about it when I'm explaining to you guys, because the default one would mean that if you tap B, then the player sort of makes a step in, tries to dive in and tackle the player. He doesn't slide tackle, he kind of does a bit of a standing tackle and just dives in and takes it off him. Now, if you don't get it right the first time, they actually, obviously depending on the player's abilities, will depend on how quick this recovery time is, but what they can do is they can recover quickly and make a sort of second tackle. So you go in with your right foot, you miss it, and he kind of just sweeps it round with his left foot and manages to make that second chance tackle. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to be. I think it's going to take something to get used to, because we're not used to having this ability to make that second chance tackle. So I think that from that sort of side of things, it's really going to make things interesting, and I'm excited to see how that turns out. Next thing is curling lofted through balls. So to anyone who is a big fan of your sort of LBY, or sorry, no, not LBY, what I'm talking about, LB or L1 triangle, or whatever console you're on, then you'll be doing, through balls. And through balls at the moment are very linear. They go in a straight line, they go over the top of the defense or wherever you decide to put it, and into the player's feet. But now you can really sort of, I want to say mess around with it, play around with it a bit more. You can put curl on this through ball so that, you get a better angle at it. It allows for the attacking player, just to get a better sort of position when this ball's coming through. And I think it's going to be really cool, because like I said, we're all very used to just the straight over the top ones, but now you can really loft them in. If you've got a big player like Ibrahimovic, you might want to loft a through ball in there so that he has time to position his body and he can really chest it down, and then you can use to protect the ball to kind of bully your way around the defenders. So things like that is going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, I'm sure you can still play those direct through balls if you've got a really pacey player on the other end of it who is more than capable of beating the defenders as far as pace goes. Then I'm sure something like that will still suit you. So last but not least, we have something called the new skill games. Now, yeah, I'm sure if you played FIFA 13, you're well aware of what skill games are. Before you hop into a game, you have the option to mess around, hone your skills, your mechanics, things like that when it comes to FIFA. But now, what they've done is they've just swapped and changed them. They added some new ones in. The ones they showed us look kind of cool. There weren't any that completely blew my mind, awesome, insane ones, but they were just a nice, refreshing new ones that I think everyone will sort of get used to, and I know I'm excited to see what happens. Anyways, guys, Hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you did enjoy it, then please do leave a like, click share it to everyone if you want to let people know about FIFA 14 news, guys. And if you would like to click on your screen now to check out a career mode video, I've got some new career mode sort of information that I can give to you guys. Until then, though, I'll catch you all in a little bit. Bye-bye.